Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Multi-institution.
Thank you again. No. Now I'm excited because I have one in mind. This is so amazing. Like she started like Human Nation, lost like you know, amazing kid. Yes. And I keep talking for Scotch all the time. Like, I don't know, guys, but yeah. Really? I should get those kids. But yeah. I know it. Yeah. Ali, right? We can be, yeah. ALIN, yes. Yeah. That's, yeah. George Davis. Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. It's like, it's not somebody. Like, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But she comes married, she lives in there, so I'm singing all over. Really good, yeah. I know, I didn't go back to visit. Once in trouble with you, they'd like to come see you. Like, I did this. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, she did. She likes it. She not. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hated everything from them. I was listening. Where's the car? I hide everything from them. Thank you. Oh, that's why I write that. That's like, yeah, like,
See y'all later. Better.
We're all good? Okay, all right, I just want to double check. No, 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 it's okay. You can mute it. It's fine. I'm just gonna do the video. Okay, okay.
Should we get the go stream going right now? When does the music get played? That's a 7 o'clock.
That's 7 o'clock. Yeah, so he'll do his unmute and then start the recording devices and then.
Okay, so if anything goes wrong, give me a high sign. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, that's so be careful, please.
Excuse me?
Do you know who's sitting here? You know what?
Yeah.
Do you want? Now you're gonna have it.
Yes, we are, Mayor.
Mr. Mr. Kavanaugh, we're good.
Thank you. I'm going to call our meeting to order tonight. It's 2023-0928 SP. It is a special commission meeting called this evening. I'd remind my colleagues to please speak into the microphone, mute when you're not speaking and unmute when you are. Mr. Kavanaugh, can you call the roll of the city commission?
Commissioner Wasserman.
Here.
Commissioner Brody.
Here.
Commissioner Rayleigh.
Here.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Here.
Mayor Rydell.
Here.
City Manager Brooks.
Here.
City Attorney Piper.
Here.
I'd ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to have our new deputy chief lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Fred. This meeting is being conducted live with the physical quorum present. We do have procedures for public comment. May our city attorney please explain our procedures for public comment?
Thank you, Mayor. The material for today's meeting is available online at www.coconutcreek.net. Members of the public were advised in the notice for this meeting that they could address the city commission by emailing comments not exceeding 400 words to commissioncomments@coconutcreek.net or by calling 954-973-6772 to leave up to a 3-minute comment on the city's dedicated public comment voicemail. The city provided a simple set of instructions explaining how the public may submit their comments, which were published in the notice and on the city's website. In addition to all live public comment presented at today's meeting, all public comments that were received by email or phone message prior to noon today, September 28th, will be included as part of the record for this meeting and will be considered by the commission before any action is taken.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. This evening, we have 3 items on and regarding it's all second readings. 4 items. I apologize. I misspoke. The first is an ordinance. It's 2023-019. It is a second reading. It is a public hearing. Madam City Attorney, please read the ordinance.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Coconut Creek, Florida, establishing and adopting the City of Coconut Creek's ad valorem tax operating millage rate at 6.4463 mils for the 2024 fiscal year, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
I need a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Brody, seconded by Commissioner Rayleigh. This is the second public hearing of 2 separate ordinances. First is the City of Coconut Creek's 2023 ad valorem tax rate for the 2024 fiscal year. Second, it's the 2024 fiscal budget. The public may address the city commission, staff on the tax rate, any portion of the proposed budget prior to the public meeting. The public being given the opportunity, Peter Gay Lake, our finance director, will make a brief statement. I turn to our finance director, Peter Gay.
Thank you, Mayor. As stated by the mayor, this is the second public hearing on the City of Coconut Creek's proposed 2023 property tax rate ordinance for fiscal year 2024 and the fiscal year 2024 budget ordinance. The first public hearing was held on September 14th. At the conclusion of that public hearing, the City Commission passed 2 ordinances on first reading. The first of these ordinances tentatively adopted an operating millage rate of 6.4463. The second ordinance tentatively adopted the proposed budget along with the changes made at the budget workshop held on August 7th, 2023 as the city's official budget for the 2024 fiscal year. The city's proposed operating millage rate of 6.4463 represents a 10.38% increase over the rollback rate of 5.8399 computed pursuant to state law and represents no increase over the current millage rate. The rollback millage rate represents the rate that would generate last year's tax revenue, less allowances for new construction and improvements. Adopting a millage rate of 6.4463 is necessary to sustain service levels and is the rate that was included on the notice of proposed taxes, which was mailed to each property owner in August. As stated during the first public hearing, development of the fiscal year 2024 budget began several months ago with planning, analysis, and assessments. Preparation of the fiscal year 2024 budget presented some challenges given high inflation, competing priorities, and the associated impacts on our finances and operations. In spite of these challenges, we have a balanced budget that includes a 4% wage and salary range increase for all civil service employees, administrative officers, city commission, police lieutenants, sergeants, and officers, as well as an increase in the city's contribution from 80% to 81% of high deductible health premiums for all tiers of family coverage. The budget focuses on addressing our community needs, priorities, and desires in alignment with our strategic plan, taking into consideration the city's ability to sustain the costs into an uncertain and volatile economic future. The city's residents deserve and insist on quality municipal services provided in a productive and efficient manner while deriving the greatest value for dollars spent. We believe the budget contained herein does all of this. Section 200.065 of the Florida statutes require that every taxing authority publish an advertisement which states the date and time for the public hearing on the property tax rate and budget. In addition, this law requires that we publish a budget summary adjacent to the notice of proposed tax increases. We complied with this law by running the ad in the September 25th edition of the Sun Sentinel. If you desire to speak on our property tax rate or budget, please feel free to do so during the public hearing. Mayor, please declare the public hearing open.
The public hearing is now open. Will the city clerk please read any advanced public comments that were received into the record or play any recorded messages? Mr. Kavanaugh?
No advanced comments or messages at this time, Mayor.
Mr. Kavanaugh, did anyone sign in to speak?
No, they have not, Mayor.
And does anyone here from a member of the public wish to speak in regarding the proposed budget of the city's tax rate at this time? Anybody? Anybody? Okay. Seeing none. Is there anyone else that, Peter Gay, do you have anything else? Looks like nobody else wants to speak, so I'm going to turn to you.
No problem. In a few minutes, the city commission will vote on two ordinances. The first ordinance relates to the city's ad valorem tax rate. If adopted without change, the city's operating millage rate will be set at 6.4463 mils, which represents a 10.38% increase over the rollback rate of 5.8399 computed pursuant to state law, and no increase over the current rate of 6.4463 mils. The second ordinance adopts the proposed budget along with the changes made at the budget workshop held on August 7th, 2023, as the city's adopted budget for the 2024 fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, seeing there's nobody else that has anything to speak about, I'm going to close the public hearing. I'm going to turn to the city commission on agenda item 1. And regarding anyone who has any questions, comments, or concerns, Commissioner Wasserman, Commissioner Brody, Commissioner Raley, Vice Mayor? No. Okay. I turn to Mr. Kavanaugh. Mr. Kavanaugh, let's call the roll.
Commissioner Wasserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brody,
Yes.
Commissioner Raley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Yes.
Mayor Rydell.
Yes, we're going to go to number 2, ordinance 2023-020. It is a second reading. Madam City Attorney, could you read the ordinance, please?
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Coconut Creek, Florida, adopting a budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2024, determining the amount of available funds on hand and estimated revenues for said year, appropriating the funds necessary for the operation of the city for said year, authorizing continuation of a general trust fund, authorizing continuation of grants funds, authorizing continuation of local and federal law enforcement trust funds, authorizing the continuation of the transportation surtax fund, authorizing reappropriation of unspent economic development division funds, and authorizing reappropriation of $500,000 of fund balance reserves for E911 dispatch services, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Thank you. I need a motion in a second.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Raley. Again, I'm going to open the public hearing. The public hearing is now open and regarding ordinance and agenda item number 2, 2023-020. Mr. Kavanaugh, has anyone submitted any comment electronically, telephonically, or otherwise?
No, they have not, Mayor.
Does anybody here wish to speak? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, no one is here to speak. We are going to close the public hearing. I turn to the City Commission regarding questions, comments, or concerns regarding agenda item 2. Mr. Wasserman. Brody?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Raley? Vice Mayor Welch? Seeing none, I'm going to ask Mr. Kavanaugh to call the roll on agenda item 2.
Commissioner Wasserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brody,
Yes.
Commissioner Raley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Yes.
Mayor Rydell.
Yes. Item number 3 is resolution 2023-141, a resolution adopting the capital improvement program for fiscal year 2024 through fiscal year 2028 pursuant to section 602 of the city charter. It is a public hearing. I need a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Raley, seconded by Commissioner Brody. Madam Finance Director.
Thank you. This resolution adopts the proposed city's five-year capital improvement program, along with the changes made at the budget workshop held on August 7th, 2023, pursuant to section 602 of the city's charter. Fiscal year 24 projects were funded in the fiscal year 24 budget that was just adopted, and fiscal year 25 through fiscal year 28 projects will be assessed and funding sources fully evaluated in future years. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments for our Finance Director? At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing. The public hearing is now open. I turn to Mr. Kavanaugh. Mr. Kavanaugh, has anyone submitted any questions, comments, or remarks, either electronically, telephonically, or by carrier pigeon?
No, they have not, Mayor.
Okay. Anyone in the public wish to speak today? Seeing none at this time, I'll close the public hearing. The public hearing is now closed. I turn to the City Commission if they have any questions or further comments in regarding agenda item 3. Seeing none, I turn to Mr. Kavanaugh to call the roll on item number 3.
Commissioner Wasserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brody,
Yes.
Commissioner Raley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Yes.
Mayor Rydell.
Yes, item number 4, resolution 2023-142, resolution authorizing expenditures from the Community Improvement Fund for outside legal services, professional services, and association fees relating to the Main Street area. I need a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second.
I think we're going to go Commissioner Brody moved it, Vice Mayor Welch seconded it. Madam Finance Director.
Thank you. This resolution is required by ordinance in order to spend funds from our Community Improvement Fund, which is funded by monies received through our municipal service provider agreement with the Seminole Tribe of Florida. This resolution provides for expenditures for professional and legal services related to Main Street issues or Seminole issues, as well as authorizes expenditures for outside legal services and association fees related to the Main Street area. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions or comments from the City Commission at this time? Mr. Kavanaugh, anyone submit any comment?
No, they have not, Mayor.
Okay, is anyone here that wishes to speak on the item? I have one just brief question for Terrell. Terrell, in the past, when we've dealt with any issues with the Seminole Tribe, and I know we've used some outside legal services on that, has the money always come from this fund?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. All right, because I know we anticipate probably some potential expenditures moving forward from this fund as well. Would that be a true statement legally?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Kavanaugh, will you call the roll on item number 4?
Commissioner Wasserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brody,
Yes.
Commissioner Raley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Yes.
Mayor Rydell.
Yes. Anyone have a motion?
Motion to end the meeting. To adjourn.
Was that a motion to adjourn? Commissioner?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. We're adjourned. Kavanaugh, are we streaming?
Yes, we are, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. I'm going to call our meeting to order this evening. Meeting number 2023-0928R. City Commission meeting, City Coconut Creek, regular meeting. Clerk Kavanaugh's musical selection, The Dark Knight by James Newton Howard and Hans Zimmer. Not what I expected from you, but I like it nonetheless. Our city attorney shall make the musical selection for the October 12th commission meeting. Please speak into the microphone, mute when you're not speaking, and unmute when you are. Mr. Kavanaugh, could you call the roll of the city commission and executive staff?
Commissioner Wasserman,
Here.
Commissioner Brody,
Here.
Commissioner Raley,
Here.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Here.
Mayor Rydell,
Here.
City Manager Brooks,
Here.
City Attorney Piper.
Here.
I'm going to ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask our new Deputy Chief of Police to lead us in the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This meeting is being conducted live with a physical quorum present, and we're also streaming online. We do have public comment procedures. I'm going to ask our city attorney to please explain those.
Thank you, Mayor. The material for today's meeting is available online at www.coconutcreek.net. Members of the public were advised in the notice for this meeting that they could address the city commission by emailing comments not exceeding 400 words to commissioncomments@coconutcreek.net or by calling 954-973-6772 to leave up to a 3-minute comment on the city's dedicated public comment voicemail. The city provided a simple set of instructions explaining how the public may submit their comments, which were published in the notice and on the city's website. In addition to all live public comment presented at today's meeting, all public comments that were received by email or phone message prior to noon today will be included as part of the record for this meeting and will be considered by the city commission before any action is taken.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. We're going to go to our presentations, and I think these are my favorite nights. I'm going to ask our police chief to please come up, and we have a swearing in for a new police officer. Chief?
Good evening, Commissioners. It is my pleasure once again in our tradition to introduce you to one of the newest family members of the Coconut Creek Police Department. I'd like to ask Ruben Odio to please come forward. Ruben, as we always like to point out, had an opportunity before this ceremony to meet Ruben's family, rather large family. So as we always tell our families, welcome to you as well. You now become part of the Coconut Creek family.
Please.
So we're thrilled to have you with us, and thank you for being here to support Ruben. Officer Ruben Odio was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and was raised in South Florida since he was 8 years old. His father was born in Cuba and his mother was born in Mexico. Ruben has 2 brothers. His older brother is a police officer for the city of Miami Beach and is with us tonight. And his younger brother is a self-employed entrepreneur who studies at Miami-Dade College and is working on his bachelor's degree. Ruben and his girlfriend have been together for 7 years, and he has a German Shepherd mix named Zeus, who is 5 years old. Officer Odio studied Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts between the ages of 12 and 18. He attended Barbara Goldman High School his freshman and sophomore years, and then transferred to American Senior High to finish off his last 2 years. Soon after he graduated high school, he enlisted for the part-time police academy at the Miami-Dade College School of Justice, where he graduated last August 25th. Ruben met with one of our police recruiters and our amazing police recruiters, Officer Kennard Garvey, who is here tonight. And I tell you, Commissioners, Kennard has brought more quality people here that I just love what this guy, how he represents our city and the great people he's brought here. And the rest was history, as he was hired with our agency on August 28th of this year. Officer Odio said he's grateful for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work for the Coconut Creek Police Department. Here to support Ruben are his father, Euripides Odio, his mother, Mara Munoz, his partner, Emily Vieira, his older brother, Ed Odio, his younger brother, Eddie Odio. Is that right? And additional friends. And with that, the city clerk will now administer the oath of office. Ruben will now be pinned by his brother Eduardo. So Eduardo, if you'd please come forward for the ceremonial badge pinning. And we'd like to invite the rest of the family up for a picture. You all come up for a picture. Excellent. And now we'd like to invite all of our Coconut Creek officers and our commission to get a picture all together with Ruben. Your existing family with your new family.
Yeah.
All right, go to your boy right there. Yep. Everybody smile.
Always the best way to start the evening. We're going to go at presentation number 2. There's a presentation recognizing Mr. Dan Godston for outstanding volunteerism in the city. Who's Enrique? Wayne, Enrique. I turn to our superintendent to present on the item.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, Mayor Rydell, Vice Mayor Welch, and City Commission. My name is Enrique Castro, Park Superintendent, I'm here today to recognize Dan Godson for his outstanding volunteerism and management of the Coconut Creek Community Garden. Dan Godston, along with other volunteers, took on the responsibility for the community garden located at Coconut Creek Community Center, 1100 Lions Road, in November of 2021. Along with Public Works and through the funding of the Broward chapter of the Sierra Club, Parks and Recreation provided the volunteers with planter beds, soil, irrigation, and a few plants to assist with the setup of the garden. The existing mulch was cleared, planter beds were assembled, soil was placed in planters, and new plant material was installed. Mr. Godston and his team of volunteers educated the community about basic gardening principles, and their work demonstrated the importance of teamwork and community building. Today, the garden is thriving and attracting an assortment of butterflies. The City of Coconut Creek Parks and Recreation Department thanks Mr. Godson, the volunteers, and the Sierra Club for their efforts and contributions. I'd like to provide Mr. Godson an opportunity to say a few words and accept his certificate at this time. Come on up. Like to say anything? You would like to say anything? Sure. All right. Okay.
Good evening. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Enrique Castro and Wayne Toby and the rest of the wonderful folks in the Parks and Rec Department. So I'd like to thank the City of Coconut Creek and in particular Vice Mayor Sandra Welch, and also all the wonderful volunteers who helped us out. My family and I were going to be transitioning out of state. We're moving to the Midwest, and I really hope that we can find a team of people who can help to keep the garden flourishing. So if there's anything that I could do in whatever advisory capacity over the next several months to kind of help with that, I'd love to be part of that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
You want to say something?
I was going to say, Dan, I attended not just maybe one or two of yours in person, but then virtually the other times. And what you do in connecting with those students and the persons and the expertise that you brought virtually from around the world, really at their fingertips, and then took them outside and put it hands-on, it's just remarkable. And to say you did that just because you wanted to and you made it happen. So we've been talking about a community garden here for a long time in the city, and you made it happen. So I think there might be a connect. So if you still want to be a virtual sponsor, there's always Zoom. Okay. Thank you.
The third presentation is this evening is a presentation by the U.S. Small Business Administration for Disaster Assistance Programs. Is Tim not here, Sheila? I know I'd been talking to Tim and he was trying to get in front of us. We'll pass it. Yeah, I know. We had been wanting to set this up for a minute, so maybe hopefully everything's all right. We'll pass presentation item number 3. If something changes, Madam Rose, let us know. We're going to go to input from the public. Everyone has 3 minutes on non-agenda items. Mr. Kavanaugh, has anyone submitted electronic or telephonic comment this evening?
No, they have not, Mayor.
I know our kiosk is having some issues, as technology does. Is anyone signed in this evening on a non-agenda item? Anybody here wish to speak on a non-agenda item? Seeing none. All right. We are going to go to the consent agenda. I turn to my colleagues on the City Commission. Items are 4, 5, 6, and 7. Does anyone preemptively would like to pull anything prior to me reading them all? Seeing none, I'm going to read the consent agenda. Item number 4 is a motion approving the minutes from previous City Commission meeting 2023-0824R. Item number 5 is a motion to cancel the November 23rd, 2023 and the December 28th, 2023 regular City Commission meeting. Item number 6, resolution 2023-158, a resolution authorizing the city manager or designee to execute an agreement with Batoli Trading Corp. doing business as Batoli Vending to provide citywide vending machine operations and services pursuant to RFP 08092311. Item number 7, resolution 2023-171, a resolution authorizing the city manager or designee to execute the attached letter of agreement with the state of Florida Agency for Healthcare Administration, AHCA, to participate in the Public Emergency Medical Transportation Program. One last time, anyone want to pull anything? Seeing none, I need a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second.
Let's move. I apologize. Commissioner Brody. I got it. Moved by Commissioner Brody to consent, seconded by Vice Mayor Welsh. I'm going to turn to Mr. Kavanaugh and call the roll on the consent agenda items 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Commissioner Wasserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brody,
Yes.
Commissioner Raley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Yes.
Mayor Rydell.
Yes. We're going to go to item number 8. Resolution 2023-165, a resolution authorizing the city manager designee to execute consulting services work authorization with Miller Leggan Associates, Inc. to provide design services for the Oak Trail Park expansion improvements in the amount of $386,210 pursuant to RFQ number 10-06-21-11. I need a motion in a second.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Raley, seconded by Commissioner Brody. Who's presenting?
I am.
Our Director of Public Works. Harry, I turn to you for the presentation on the item.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioner. In 2017 and 2018, the city purchased 5-acre adjacent parcels to the west and the east of Oak Trails Park with the intention of expanding the park in the future. In 2019, the city applied for a Florida Communities Trust grant to partially offset the cost associated with the purchase of these 2 properties. Funding has been approved by the state, and the city is currently awaiting receipt of the grant funds in the amount of $1,135,649.10. The consulting services work authorization is for the design of the improvements required by the grant. The improvements include the creation of 2 multi-purpose fields for passive recreational use, a half-mile-long trail with exercise equipment, and a picnic area, water fountain, informational kiosk, planting of 1 acre of native vegetation, and the renovation of an existing house to create a LEED certified nature center with public restrooms. Mr. Brian Shore and Mr. Martin Greenbank are here tonight representing Miller and Leggan Associates, who is the consulting firm that this contract is for. And that concludes my presentation. If there's any questions.
Thank you. I turn to the City Commission. Anyone have any questions or comments? I do, if no one does. Oh, Vice Mayor. Yeah, I mean, listen, I kind of brought this up last time. I think that we've been presented some, I think a different commission has been presented some items and thoughts on this parcel. It's in my district. I know what some of the neighbors want, what some of the neighbors don't want. I just want to have a conversation with, I understand what the concept is. And I understand that this is a conceptual piece, right? We're hiring a consultant. We're in design phase. Fair?
Correct. Yes, sir.
So I want you to talk to me a little bit about that, about the design phase and what public input is going to be involved in the design phase before a final, we'll call it construction. We shift into construction because I've seen the concept, right? And I've seen scaled concepts because money matters, right? So I've seen scaled down approaches, obviously to meet minimum grant requirements. I've seen upgraded design standards to meet a higher maximum level of grant programs, right? I think when the City Commission met, Harry, you weren't here. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm trying to think like, when was that meeting? I turned to our city manager. And I guess what I'm trying to figure out is like, the public had some input on this. There was kind of wish list items. I think on the dais at the time, it was only that is here now was only me and the vice mayor at the time. And I think maybe needs and wants have shifted a little bit. So I need to be comfortable saying that if we're agreeing to a consultant, which I'm obviously supporting a consultant, that there is going to be the ability for changes, for modifications and things of that nature. So that's what I need to have that conversation if I'm going to be comfortable voting tonight. So before I say that, I'd actually like to hear before I give you a chance to respond to that, I'd actually like to hear what the vice mayor has to say in regarding some of this as well, and regarding my comments, if that's okay, Harry. Sandy?
Sure. No, and I agree. So actually the neighborhood out there has changed somewhat and changing. So is there sewer and water connected in front of these parcels?
Yes, there is.
And as I understand it, in the design were as presented, no additional lights will be considered past the house and the restroom area.
Correct. My understanding from that time ago, the public input was a very passive park. They
Right.
didn't want a lot of activities. And the items that we are budgeting for were just the minimum requirements for the grant. Any further development in the future would be subject to the public input and a much more rigorous planning process.
It's just maintaining it more on a passive scale,
Correct.
with the possibility that it could be
Further developed. in the
further
future.
developed later. And so the irrigation is only in those areas where we're not irrigating the entire parcel.
We are not. We are trying to avoid any irrigation and leave this in a
I'm
natural
just
state.
looking at the potable water because we don't have reclaimed water out there, right?
Right. And potable water is primarily for the bathroom and the.
Because we're
drinking
covering up the
fountains.
pond or whatever is there. Okay.
The intent is to fill those in, clean up the property and provide the minimum requirements by the
And if I missed it,
Right.
forgive me, but the timeline that we're looking at,
1 year
1
for
year.
design
Okay.
services.
No, I think it is very important and it is a little fluid and it's important not to spend more rather than less on a design of something that may not be accommodating the public input there at that time that this is completed.
So now I'm going to have you address my statement to you, please.
This will be subject to the standard process going through the DRC and site planning. And there will be an opportunity for public input. The items that I listed off are required for us to receive the grant. And any additional items we can certainly consider subject to budget approval.
Well, listen, I get it. This has been a very hot topic, I say, in my district, right? The development of this, the changing landscape. I think we've all been at county meetings where some of the unincorporated property has been developed. Something I'll point out to the commission. There was discussion years ago, and again, this is only for really discussion from the past, but when we broke ground on Salt Palmetto Park, where's Wayne? When we did Salt Palmetto Park, there was concepts a couple of years ago to have like a little playground. I'm not saying like a playground like we have at, Sable Pines or something like that, but like a feature, right? There's nothing like that north of Hillsborough. There's the demographic has changed. There's younger people with younger wants and younger desires. I understand the minimum requirements, and that's why I'm supportive of this tonight. I just want to be, I need you to tell me when this is going to come before us again, and will the consultant be able to take direction to show slight modifications to suit different needs?
Yes, we certainly.
They want to talk?
We could certainly take that
I mean-
direction. Yeah, sure. Okay, sorry, please.
So I'm going to ask you something while they're coming up. Are you looking towards the playground feature for daylight hours only and maintain a passive
Yeah, listen, I think
atmosphere?
there's a lot of people up there there's a lot of people up there that want a dog park. I'm not personally supportive of that, but if that's the will of the people, that's the will of the people. There's a lot of comment about having some sort of a passive park with sort of like a kids aspect to it. I mean, I don't know. I think everyone remembers seeing it. There's versions that I've seen through staff of a pared down minimum requirement version. And this kind of works into the Parks and Rec master plan, because I understand that there's competing interest in things like that. I've looked at a pared down version. I've looked at a scaled up version. I've looked at more of an equestrian feature, because not just on Vulcamer, we have equestrian farms up there and there's horses up there. So I say it because I'm okay approving a consultant agreement. I want to be clear on when is this coming before us again? And I want to at least the consultant to hear this commission. Hopefully my colleagues chime in. I think Vice Mayor has, that there needs to be some options, for lack of a better term, above and beyond what the minimum requirements are, because I don't see us putting in a bunch of work to meet minimum requirements if there's slight additional money that could add a very slight feature that can help a community. So am I making myself clear?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'd love to hear.
Brian Shore, Leg.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Commission, everything. Through this process and what we've worked out with the Public Works is a initial order of magnitude exploratory and working on all the earthwork and such that is required for that filling of the two ponds, working on the driveways and other parking facilities that are included in the concept. That will be worked out internally and then worked into a color rendering that will work with the budget that is there. If there is other opportunities, we can present them in that fashion and then go forward with that as a public outreach kind of realm. If that's, the necessary item to get through the first conceptual phase before we go into final design, because as soon as we start permitting, we need to make sure all those facilities are on that site plan.
So that's what I want to be clear on. I want to know when this commission is seeing this again. That's my question.
Well,
So I know, I want to hear it. So I that's what my concern is, because I understand that we can put together a park that meets the minimum requirement that gets us a grant money. I don't necessarily want to do that if we don't have to do that, but I want it to be able to come in to us for some input on that too.
sure. We don't have a schedule at this point worked out, but we will present it for your consideration and gain the input.
Okay.
And then we could talk about any modifications to the contract if necessary to gain. those.
You got to realize, because I see it like this. Listen, whether this commission likes it or not, there's 2 undeveloped parcels that are within 50 yards of this park, literally, that you're going to have, what did they approve? 8 houses, 8 or 9 houses or 10? So they approved 10. That there's obviously not in Broward County approval for 10, they didn't come to the city, but they're annexing into the city because they want to be at post-development with what that contractor agreement says. They're about to do that again. So it's not a sunshine issue because, I mean, we're all going to have to advocate the county again because they actually put in a bigger footprint on the 71st parcel. But I say it only because whether I like it or not, the demographics are changing a little bit, these acres homes. So I think there's a different need for what, at least in a portion of what we can offer a little bit. So I want to make sure there's a dialogue here and that we're all, at least my opinion, that we're not just saying minimum requirements, let's dump the money to do the minimum requirements to get the grant money, which I agree with, but just making sure we have the flexibility of, and I'm not talking millions of dollars, I'm talking slight features that could, in a small way, change whether it's suiting something to kids, whether it's suiting something to horses, whether it's suiting something to, picnickers or whatever it is. I'm not going to be the arbiter of that. That's why there's all of us here in community outreach. So that's the point I'm trying to make to our consultant that's here, that we're about to approve a significant design contract for.
And that is what we considered in our design upfront conceptual phase, is opportunities to maximize the budget and opportunities to minimally get it to the passive stage. And then the extras that can be on there and that can be decided upon to move forward on those items based on the current budget that we have.
I agree with you, but when I read the backup, when I read your contract with what we're approving, to me, I was I had a little trepidation, right? Only because I want to make sure it's not just, we're not giving you this job to say, here's the minimum requirements of the site plan, that there's flexibility for changes. And what I'm hearing today is you're saying, yes, there is.
Yes, there is.
That's what I need to hear.
Yes.
So Commissioner Watson.
Yeah, no, just understand. So these minimum things listed here, and then a potential later on an a la carte of different features that we could add to improve the area in terms of what the public wants up north.
Well, I guess I'll be clear to you. We have to do certain things.
Right.
He has to do certain things so we get the grant money.
Right.
Well, bare minimum is going to have a much lower price tag. I'm trying to say that probably for a little bit more money, we could at least meet some of the community needs, not what we're talking about at Lakeside or something like that. I'm not talking about millions of dollars. I'm talking about a small portion that could.
Right.
I just want to be able to ensure that they're able to.
And that money would be not a part of the grant. It would be additional from the city.
So the grant's not going to pay for this whole project. I mean, Karen, you correct me if I'm wrong here. The grant's not going to pay for this whole project.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're coming out of pocket to
Got
develop. I just want to make sure.
All right, thank you.
The construction budget is $2.5 million.
Yeah. So that's all. I just think the last time we went to the community with this, it's a slightly different community and there may be a slight different want of the community that I think I think we need to do that. So that's just my thought on that. Anyone else?
Even if you didn't make the permitting of the additional
Yeah, exactly.
landscaping there of what the community looks like, we're still going to have to accommodate it. So it's one of those unintended consequences,
I believe by the
right?
time we cut the ribbon of this park, you're going to have possibly up to 4 5-acre parcels that are run by the county that are going to change the look of that. I don't agree with it. I can't change it. I'm not a Broward County commissioner, but I do believe, because you now have private homeowners that are also in talks with the same developer. Yeah, exactly. So I say that because regardless of whether I agree with the development or not, we need to meet the needs of those residents up there with differing ideas. Thank you. Good. Mr. Kavanaugh, Sandy, do you have anything else on that?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. The demographics are obviously changing. We need to kind of keep that as a sensitive thing to moving forward.
Thank you. Mr. Kavanaugh, call the roll.
Commissioner Wasserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brody,
Yes.
Commissioner Raley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Yes.
Mayor Rydell.
Yes. Agenda items 9 and 10 are quasi judicial. They are quasi judicial script. We're going to be now considering several quasi judicial items. Will the city attorney please explain the city's quasi judicial procedures?
Thank you, Mayor. Florida courts have determined that there are certain types of matters, including items 9 and 10 on tonight's agenda, that are to be treated differently than other items considered by the commission. Most decisions of the commission are legislative in nature, which means that the commission is acting as a policy-making body. In contrast, when a matter is quasi-judicial, the commission is applying existing rules and policies to a factual situation and is therefore acting like a judge and jury in a courtroom. In such cases, the courts have decided that due process and fundamental fairness require that more formal procedures be followed. Will the clerk please confirm compliance with the notice requirements?
Public meeting notice requirements have been met for items 9 and 10.
And Mr. Kavanaugh, will you please swear in the witnesses?
Will anyone wishing to speak on any of the quasi judicial items, please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes.
Yes.
When you come forward to speak, please state your name and address clearly for the record. State whether or not you have been sworn in and whether or not you understand the rules of the proceedings. Thank you.
I apologize, Mr. Kavanaugh. I had another item handed to me. Did we certify all the requirements are met?
Yes, I did, Mayor.
And you swore everyone, and I apologize. I got distracted. We're going to hear item number 9 after I read the title. I'm going to ask for a motion in a second. Resolution 2023-147 is a resolution approving the site plan request submitted by the Apostolic Mission of Christ, Inc. Mission of Christ, Inc. The Invisalign's getting me. For the property located at 2730 Hammock Boulevard, legally described as Exhibit A, attached here to and made part thereof. It is quasi judicial. It is a public hearing. I need a motion and a second for discussion.
Motion.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Brody, seconded by Commissioner Raley. Madam City Attorney.
Are there any disclosures for this item?
Anybody? Seeing none. I have
Thank
none.
you.
All right. I'm going to ask our Director of Sustainable Development to present on the item.
Good evening. Yes, this is a resolution approving a site plan for the Apostolic Mission of Christ. Of course, they have been operating out of the location. Actually, they are our neighbors. They are generally behind the Public Works Complex. And again, have been operating there out of for a number of years. An expansion of the facility has always been envisioned, even when it was known as St. Luke's. There is an area that has always been envisioned for expansion, and that is what is before you tonight. It is an approximately 10,000 square foot expansion for worship, for classrooms, for administrative space. This application went to the Planning and Zoning Board back in August, recommended for approval. Staff is recommending approval, and it is before you this evening for approval. And the applicant does have a brief PowerPoint presentation to give you some orientation to the project. So, but I'm happy to answer any questions at this time. Otherwise, we could hear from the applicant.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn to the applicant. Does anyone wish to make a presentation? Any or all of you, whoever's hopping up, we welcome you here.
Good evening. My name's Al Caplini. I'm the engineer on this project, and it is a tongue twister. Apostolic Mission. Sometimes people get confused with the word.
Usually I'm better at my pronunciations. I'm working with some Invisalign, Al.
Oh, okay.
It's good. I don't usually say that because you can't see it, but it's good to see you, Al.
Well, it looks very good, Mayor.
Not yet. I'm not done yet.
So if you want us to go give you an idea of what this looks like, we're
sure
glad to go to a
you
quick
have the
presentation, and you can ask whatever question.
Yeah,
And-
however you want to present, Al. It's all yours.
So this is a 12,000 square foot addition that's going to be primarily used as a church for the students that are on site. And this church and this whole site is about 9 acres. So it's a pretty big facility. This is what the Zoning was for it. It was done as the director mentioned, it was done back in 1988, then turned into St. Luke's, and St. Luke had proposed like a 20,000 square foot church to be placed in the same spot that we're placing this. Now they've reduced it down to about 12,000 feet, 12,000 square feet. This is what the site looks like. It's right behind you. We can go to your property line and you can see their facilities, and they have a couple buildings and two modular structures that have been administratively approved already. They have a huge parking lot. So parking's never been a problem. It's way oversized. Did all the calculations on a parking lot. I know there've been questions in the past on the drainage. The drainage is all collected by underground piping and piped over to the Wymore Canal on the other side of the road. And again, you could see there's not much of a disruption. There's not a lot of paving that's going to go on. Basically, I think the whole impervious area is about 14,000 square feet if you include some of the sidewalks and everything else. That's what church looks like, the white outline. And this is more of an architectural rendering of the elevations of different sides of the building. And there's nothing really outstanding in this design. It's very simple. It fits into the neighborhood and looks like many of the other buildings. This is the seating inside. You can see the sanctuary and the other rooms, the other 6 or 8 rooms there are really learning centers and activity centers in the school. They're not classrooms necessarily. That's it.
Thank you, Al. Do you have anything else in the presentation?
I'm done. But
Okay.
if you have any questions, please, if you'd like.
I got to jump through
I have a
this,
whole
like,
roll of drawings, but I know you're busy.
I got to jump through the scripts. So
Yeah.
I got to,
Okay. I
Scott,
understand.
does our staff have any questions for the applicant?
No, we do not.
Al, do you have any questions for our staff?
No.
All right. I'm going to open the public hearing at this time.
Okay.
At this time, the public hearing is now open. Mr. Kavanaugh, has anyone signed in or put any, well, not signed in. Has anyone submitted any comment electronically or telephonically for this item?
No, they have not, Mayor.
Seeing we have some issues with our sign in tonight, has anyone signed in that wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none. Last chance. Seeing none. The public hearing is now closed. Scott, do you have any closing statements on behalf of staff?
No closing statements.
Al, do you have any closing statements on behalf?
No,
of
I'd just
the
like to
applicant?
introduce you. If you don't know, we have Dr. Weber here who's
We'll
been-
take that in a heartbeat. So you want to, I mean,
she's your
it's-
neighbor next door. She's been there for 11 years and, she's a very nice person.
Wonderful. So now I'm going to turn it over to the city commission with any questions or comments. My only question is this: in the classrooms, what are we early childhood, I'm just curious.
Religious education room.
Okay.
You know, like as far as currently our school is from preschool. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Please come up and just do me a favor, just for the record, just say your name and
Yes,
who you're with.
Dr. Paula Weber, and I reside in Coral Springs.
We'll forgive you.
But I've been here since 2012, next door as director of the school and also president of the church.
I did know that. So I was just wondering, I know you do religious education there. I didn't know if there was going to actually be like a school. I love the project. So
Yes, we do have currently a school. We have preschool to 12th grade. And the classrooms are going to be used more for our religious education. We currently already have classrooms that we're using for the students. So we
Okay.
do have about 105 students.
yeah, I didn't know if this was part. So this is going to be not part of the school portion. It's going to be part of religious education with the
Yes.
church. I got it. That's all I was curious of.
Okay.
And for clarification, the city commission did approve a special land use for this site back in, I think, 2012.
Yes.
For a school.
Yeah, you guys
Yes.
are great partners and we're looking forward to this.
Thank you. We're good neighbors. We're quiet neighbors. Yes, but no, thank you so much.
Of course, I turn to the city commission with anyone having any questions of our staff or the applicant.
No, I just, so pre-K through 12, they're already in the classrooms that are already there.
Yes.
These are not going to be for that. This is additional religious
Yes.
educational opportunities for like aftercare or something like that, or on Saturdays and Sundays?
Yeah, exactly. More like our like catechism classes and things like that we're using for the church. And
Sundays, okay. Sunday
yes,
school?
and like I mentioned, we are small. We only have 105 students at the school. So it's very small. We're Orthodox Christian. So very small, not mega church or anything like that.
Cool, thank you. And I appreciate the effects with the PowerPoint. Very nice effects. Thank you.
Yes.
You got to give Alvin a shout out for that.
Yeah, we were both sitting there going, wow, I gotta learn how to do that one.
Like 3 days, great.
So,
Commissioner Brody?
so I got a simple statement, more God is always better, especially in today's world. So
Absolutely.
I'm on board with this.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go, anyone else? Okay, Vice Mayor?
And you're welcome to come visit anytime you'd like. We'd
Well,
love
you
to
know
have
what? I'm going to take you up on that. As a matter of fact, I've asked you if I could come.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
And I did go to church there when it was St. Luke's. So
Wonderful.
as it's transitioned, I've
Oh.
gone to the different places. So I'm anxious to get back in there
Oh,
and
wonderful.
see what it is now. And no, I was under the premise that this was for new classrooms for education, not necessarily Christian education. So
Oh,
yeah,
Oh, yes, no, it's Christian. Yeah, for
I
sure.
and I'm fine with that. But yeah, if you will accept my offer, I'd love to come
Oh,
visit.
definitely.
Okay,
definitely.
I'll do it in person, in public, on the record.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Vice Mayor.
I
don't
think it's interesting, just one thing, that we have two churches that are expanding in our city tonight. And I think that's something to be proud of,
Yes,
that we have churches that are not only here, but are expanding to serve our community.
absolutely. It's
So
a big
thank you for
blessing.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the Vice Mayor hit the nail on the head, and I will tell you what is interesting is I can't remember the last time we approved a church expansion. As I'm sitting here with Sandy,
It was a possibility up by North Broward, but it
well, it was that was a couple of years ago, and I was just thinking back in a good way. So I'm
Ah.
I'm on the same vein as the Vice Mayor, and I know
Yeah.
I was trying to think back. So it was unique that we see two very similar, exciting expansions on the same agenda. So
Yes.
thank you for being here, and thank you for your team being here.
How many students in the school live in Coconut Creek?
That live in Coconut Creek.
Do we
I'm
have
not
num-
sure. That's a good question, but probably I would say maybe could be like a good 50%.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
All right,
because
thank
we
you.
have a lot of the students nearby. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
How many kids at Cypress Bay go to Coconut Creek?
0, but they could apply for school choice if they want.
Oh, we do have school choice at our school as well. Yeah, we have the scholarships for the students.
The step up for the students.
Yes.
It's gotta
Yes.
tell you, it's good.
We have Step Up for Students, and so many families have taken it's such a wonderful gift for them to be able to have a choice. In the
Well, it
schooling.
also, I think it helps, I'm not going to say anything. I think it's a good thing because I think certain institutions traditionally bend over backwards to help families.
Absolutely.
And this is a good thing that allows the institution to be able to continue to sustain with the same charity and grace they've probably had previously. So I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Scott, anything else? Do you have anything else?
No, sir.
No, just
Mr.
thank you.
Mr. Kavanaugh, call the roll.
Commissioner Wasserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brody.
Yes.
Commissioner Raley.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Yes.
Mayor Rydell.
Yes. We're gonna go to item number 10. It is quasi judicial. Congratulations. You're good.
Thank you so much.
Item number 10 is quasi judicial. After I read the title, I need a motion in a second. It is resolution 2023-148, a resolution approving the site plan request submitted by Emmanuel.
Move it.
Second.
I didn't finish.
Thank you.
I thought you were like so anxious to say move it. I thought it was something. I thought I screwed something up. Did I screw something up?
No.
Okay, let me start over. Resolution 2023-148, a resolution approving the site plan request submitted by Emmanuel Baptist Church, Inc. for the property located at 5391 Johnson Road, legally described as Exhibit A, attached here to and made a part thereof. Quasi judicial, public hearing. Need a motion.
Just the arrows.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Wasserman. Real quick, our city attorney wants to know if there's any disclosures. Anyone? I think I'll only disclose that the applicant's representative briefly said hello to me in the beginning of the meeting, and he was here for, and I asked him if he voted on this in P and Z, and he told me he didn't. And that was the extent of my disclosures. Oh, I did screw up. So someone did tell me I screwed up. Okay. Hang on a sec, Jeff. I gotta correct something. I'm gonna go back to item number 9. We called and moved it initially. So Mr. Kavanaugh, I screwed up the vote on that. Based on it being quasi judicial, I needed a motion in a second to vote on it a second time. So I apologize. So let me read it appropriately. Mr. Kavanaugh, we're going to go back to item number 9. I need a motion to a plan, their site plan application, and a second to approve it prior to the vote.
Move it.
So that's moved by Vice Mayor Welch, seconded by Commissioner Brody. Mr. Kavanaugh, again, just to be correct in terms of, I guess, Robert's rules, can you call the now moved and seconded item number 9 for a vote?
Commissioner Wasserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brody,
Yes.
Commissioner Raley.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Yes.
Mayor Rydell.
Yes. Again, I apologize. I'm just going to do it again. So the record's clean. Moving item number 10 is quasi judicial. Resolution 2023-148, a resolution approving the site plan request submitted by Emmanuel Baptist Church, Inc. for the property located at 5391 Johnson Road, legally described in Exhibit A attached here to and made a part thereof. Let's just be clear on it. I need a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second.
Moved by this time Commissioner Wasserman and seconded by Commissioner Raley. I will need to move it again and second it again prior to vote. Back to the original question. No, did we address disclosures? I'll say the same thing I said. No other disclosures. I'm going to ask our Director of Sustainable Development to give his presentation on item number 10.
Yes, and again, good evening. I'll be brief. The applicant does have a brief PowerPoint presentation. However, again, another church expansion. And this, of course, is for Emmanuel Baptist up on Johnson Road, which has been in the city for quite some time. And once again, another church where expansion was always envisioned. The site plan is consistent with our land development code. The Planning and Zoning Board also heard this application back in August and recommended approval. And staff has recommended approval. And once again, it is before you for your approval. And I'm happy to answer any questions, but again, the applicant's got a brief PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you, Scott. I'm going to turn to the applicant and I'm going to see if the applicant wishes to make a presentation.
Okay, I am Mike Sapula with JMS Architectural Design out of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And I'm the architect for the project. I think through reading the minutes of last month, you'll notice that everything's pretty much the same as it was before. It's in addition to an existing facility. The church was previously approved by site plan approval back in 2000, and they're following through on the full phase 2, which is the expansion of the sanctuary area. I'll go ahead and show the first slide here, which is the aerial of the facility. That's the existing sanctuary, which is Fellowship Hall conversion. And behind it to the right is what will be the expansion for parking to support the additional sanctuary area. The next slide I'll show here is the original survey, which shows the parking that supported it as it was previously shown. And then to the left of the Fellowship Hall is the new sanctuary survey there. These are the two areas of improvement, which would be to the right, the future parking lot, and then the sanctuary. Next slide here is just stipulating the site plan development square footages and areas meet the code for compliance with areas of development. And the amount of parking, bicycles, trees, all of the criteria for site plan approval have been met and have been approved by staff. Parking data, again, is shown that we're compliant with the 600 occupant load provided by the redevelopment. This is the first floor plan, which shows to the right of the sheet, the beginning of what is the existing Fellowship Hall and the future sanctuary, which is to the left. And this facility will have a second floor. It's a balcony area with some Bible study classrooms and toilet facilities, which meets and fills up the 600 seat capacity included at the balcony level. These are the elevational views, which shows the character of the original building, and the addition is compliant with the aesthetic that exists now. The two-story building gives it the scale that is proportional for the property. And, pretty much approved by staff and architecturally aesthetically pleasing. These are some 3D renderings of the facility. The upper left is, again, aerial view with the fellowship hall to the left side and the new sanctuary to the right. And then, of course, the various views around the facility showing the architectural aesthetic is compatible with the existing building and aesthetic that was approved. This one is just essentially the civil plan that's showing we are going to meet with the drainage mandated for water management in the city. There was a pond there that's going to be underneath. It's gone now, and drainage will be accommodated by the structures underneath the parking lot. Landscaping, as we mentioned before, is meeting all the tree criteria. Added trees, lost trees, supplemental trees for replacement, and open areas all in compliance. And that's it. If there's any questions or
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate it. Let me just get through the script and then we'll get to the point of discussion. Scott, do you have any
None.
questions for the applicant?
None.
Does the applicant have any questions for city staff?
No questions.
Okay. I'm going to open the public hearing. At this time, the public hearing is now open. Mr. Kavanaugh, I'm going to ask you if anyone has telephonically or electronically submitted comment on item number 10.
No, they have not, Mayor.
Okay. Anyone here wish to speak on item number 10? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. The public hearing is now closed. Closing remarks from staff,
No closing remarks.
applicant, closing remarks.
no statements, no.
Okay, now that the applicant and our staff has no more comments, I'm going to turn to the city commission. Does anyone have any questions or comments on behalf of the city commission? I turn to the vice mayor.
I do. I just wanted to, business must be good because the churches look great and they're only going to get better. But I did just have one question from Scott about the area where the ponds are being filled and then the expanded parking lot over. So everything with that drainage, because there are drainage concerns in some of the adjoining areas on Johnson Road, but none that will take place there, I assume.
Correct. What they are proposing is something that is working successfully all over the city.
Okay.
Yeah, that was going to be my same question. So you're doing under parking lot drainage?
Correct.
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
it's expensive.
Got to get the parking in.
Well, no, I understand that, but I think the lot, I'm just being suggestive right here. I like the project, but I mean, there's frontage and then there's sidage on the other side. So if you're looking at the eastern wall or the southern wall, if you pull up that slide again, I only say it for cost because I think I know how expensive the undergrounding, the drainage could be. Just food for thought. I mean, you're coming back again, but do they have the ability of not undergrounding it if they wanted to, Scott?
They would have to redesign their plan.
Oh, okay. All right. Wasn't going down that route. I was just saying, I know, especially with a church redevelopment with limited resources and things of that, how expensive undergrounding that stuff can be.
Yeah.
So that was my only thought. I have nothing else. Seeing no one else, Commissioner Brody has a comment, question?
Like always, I'm going to say more God is always good. And I'm going to be honest with you. If I voted no on this, my dad would kill me being an ordained minister. So you already know where I'm going with this. So more power to you. And I definitely think that bigger is always better in this case.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none. Mr. Kavanaugh, call the roll. Oh, you're right. I almost did it again. I need a motion. I need a motion to approve the Emmanuel Baptist Church site plan application.
Move it.
Second.
It's moved by the vice mayor, seconded by Commissioner Brody. Now it's been moved for vote. Mr. Kavanaugh, call the roll.
Commissioner Wasserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brody,
Yes.
Commissioner Raley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Yes.
Mayor Rydell.
Yes, we're going to go to item number 11 as an ordinance 2023-025. It is a second reading. It is a public hearing. I turn to our city attorney.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Coconut Creek, Florida, amending the city's code of ordinances by amending Chapter 13 Land Development Code, Article 3 Zoning Regulations, Division 3 Zoning District Regulations and Tables to create section 13-363 qualifying development pursuant to section 166.04151 sub 7 Florida statutes under the Live Local Act, and amending Division 5 site plan review requirements by amending section 13-546 approval required, and creating section 13-551 site plan review procedures for applications pursuant to section 166.04151 sub 7 Florida statutes, to provide for development regulations and administrative review of certain affordable housing projects pursuant to state law, and by amending Chapter 13 Land Development Code, Article 1 Administration, Regulations, and Procedures, Division 3 Implementation Procedures, Section 13-34 Appeals, to provide for City Commission review of administrative decisions, providing for zoning in progress, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date.
Is there a motion?
Move it.
Second. By? Brody, was that a second by you? Okay, moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Commissioner Brody. Our Director of Sustainable Development will make the report this evening.
Good evening. Of course, this is second reading. There was a very thorough discussion at first reading, and it was recommended for approval with one exception. Staff was directed to go back and do some research on minimum square footage for unit size for apartments around the city, as well as some cost information for units around the city. That is in your backup. There was a table presented in your backup. Based on that information, we did adjust the minimum square footages for the 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom. We went from, for the 1-bedroom, we went from 700 square feet to 850. For the 2-bedroom, from 1,000 to 1,200. And for the 3-bedroom, from 1,250 to 1,400. We believe, based on our research and our analysis, which you can see for yourself, this is a reasonable number to place in the ordinance.
You got anything else?
Happy to answer any questions. Kathy Mahaffey, of course, is here this evening to answer any questions you may have.
I've talked to Kathy about this. I'm very supportive of it. And just to be clear, the amended numbers you just quote, I know the answer to it, but the amended numbers are in what we're approving tonight.
That is correct.
Thank you. Anyone on the commission have any questions or comments? Vice Mayor.
I just have a comment. I mean, I think it's significant that we are increasing the square footage of the different levels of units. I just hope that a project like just opened in Fort Lauderdale, the 7 on the 7th, doesn't happen here. I mean, it totally looks like what you conjure up as affordable housing, and just hope okay.
That's why we
Can do
move
better.
swiftly.
We can do better.
Anyone else? Thank you for Kathy. Yeah, I know you at least had some one-on-one with me. I appreciate the diligent effort in this, specifically on this project, on behalf of the city attorney's office. Mr. Kavanaugh, hold on a sec. This isn't a public hearing. This is a public hearing? It is a public hearing. Public hearing is now open. Mr. Kavanaugh, did anyone submit telephonic or electronic comment about this evening?
No, they have not, Mayor.
Is anyone signed in to speak? And if you're signed in, please feel free to come up and speak. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody. Last chance. Close the public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Anyone on the city commission have anything additional? We can just call the roll on that based on it not being quasi judicial. Mr. Kavanaugh, call the roll. Item ordinance 11.
Commissioner Wasserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brody,
Yes.
Commissioner Raley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Yes.
Mayor Rydell.
Yes, we're going to number 12 is an ordinance 2023-029. Madam City Attorney, it is an ordinance. Can you please read the ordinance?
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Coconut Creek, Florida, authorizing the mayor or designee to execute the Second Amendment to the lease agreement with Broward County for the lease of real property located at 4900 West Copens Road for a 911 emergency dispatch center, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
I need a motion. We're on 12.
Move it.
Second.
Was that not 12? My apologies.
We're on 12.
You are correct. I didn't get a chance to read.
You know what? You read it. Can we do it? Well, I didn't read it. I mean, I got to tell you, we're a little A little off tonight. I'm a little off. I
Sorry.
apologize. No, I apologize, Tara.
We had swapped the order of this and I apologize.
Yeah,
I didn't
I
update
know.
my book.
Uh,
My fault. I can
so
go ahead and just
the
read the
ordinance
next
read
one.
is 2023-027. It is an ordinance. Madam City Attorney read it. It is a second hearing. It is item 13. We will handle item number 12 after item 13. I need a motion and a second on item 13.
Motion.
Second.
It's moved by Commissioner Wasserman, seconded by Commissioner Brody. Madam Brooks, you want to report on the item?
Yes.
Briefly, I have something to say on it as well.
So this is the second reading for the lease agreement between the city and the county for the space that they occupy over in our Public Works building for dispatch services. We went back and worked with county staff, the county administrator and the deputy county administrator, and we've reached an equitable agreement. And so we've made those modifications within the lease agreement. What changed is the incentivized payments on the back end if they were not out by September 30th of 2025. We have swapped those out to correlate to our lease agreement for the fire administration building, and as well as built in for conflict resolutions that any fees affiliated with that would be covered by the county. So we feel comfortable that accomplishes the mission, one of being made financially whole. We're not quite financially whole, but if they are not out by October 1st, they will owe us a $60,000 payment, which would make us financially whole. And that gives them the incentive to get out as well. So we're very appreciative of the negotiations that we had with them over the past 2 weeks, and recommend approval of this lease.
Thank you, Madam Brooks. I will tell you, I had some conversations. I think this commission's clear direction was persuasive. I think multiple departments in the county government listened to our meeting, where I think direction was clear. I think I want to thank county staff for working very diligently. Obviously, our staff, of course, but I think county staff really stepped to the plate and was taking direction from leaders. And I think this is a work in progress. So I really thank Karen and her team for getting this done. And I think Commissioner Bogan had a big hand in it, and so did Mayor Fisher in regarding potential issues in getting this done. So I think all in all, this is a well-rounded deal. And I had some conversations with Terrell about it legally. And I think this is me personally, I think this is a good thing. So I'll be voting in the affirmative. Does anyone else have anything they want to say? Vice Mayor.
I just think it was very smart to use actual numbers of what the fire administration facilities are costing us, and rather than an arbitrary number. So it does make, to me, fiscal sense, probably made it more palatable.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think, that we're going to be partnering with things. I think you got to be a good neighbor, but at the end of the day, you can't take advantage of a relationship. And I think this agreement checks all those boxes. So thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Kavanaugh, call the roll on 13. Oh, don't call the roll. It's a public hearing, and the public hearing is open. Did anyone sign in? Mr. Kavanaugh, anyone submit telephonic or electronic comment?
No, they have not, Mayor.
Okay, anyone here wish to speak on it? Item number 13. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Anyone else? Any further comment? Call the roll on item 13, please.
Commissioner Wasserman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brody,
Yes.
Commissioner Raley,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Welch,
Yes.
Mayor Rydell.
Yes, now we're going back to item number 12, an ordinance 2023-029. Madam City Attorney, read ordinance 2023-029.
Thank you, Mayor. This time I'll make sure to read the right one. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Coconut Creek, Florida, accepting the conveyance of title from 4211 SP LLC to form portions of the right-of-way of Northwest 74th Street, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Need a motion?
Move it.
Second.
By Jackie, moved by Vice Mayor Welch, seconded by Commissioner Raley. Scott, I turn to the Director of Sustainable Development to make the report on ordinance number 12.
Good evening. Very briefly, this is a little bit unusual. This is a dedication of right-of-way from a parcel of land that is in unincorporated Broward County. Typically, this would come through the plating process. Most of you are familiar with this property because we're talking about the parcel across from Oak Trails Park on 74th that was the subject of a county rezoning and an assignment of flex units. This is the property that was, there was a desire to have 15 lots on the property, and was through the county commission action negotiated down to 10 units. They were deemed exempt from the plating process by Broward County. However, they were directed to dedicate 15 feet of right of way. The way to do that is through this instrument this evening. The goal all along for 74th is to ultimately get to a minimum of 50, but perhaps up to 60 feet of right of way for the future. So, this is a one step in many over the next several years as properties redevelop along there, where we will continue to obtain right of way. The applicant is here this evening to answer any questions. However, this is part of their requirement for their development review process at Broward County. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Mr. Spear, you have anything? I don't know if you came. I don't know. I'm just going to give you an opportunity.
Daniel Spear, I'm a partner with the Spear Group. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. You came. I just figured I'd give you the opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay. I turn to the commission, turn to my colleagues. Anything on this technical item? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Kavanaugh, has anyone submitted any comment regarding this item?
No, they have not, Mayor.
And this is not a public hearing. Right? It's an ordinance. I know the answer, but I'm just getting this.
Yes.
It's not, right?
It is a public.
It
hearing.
is. It is a public hearing. Yeah, that's why. So I'm going to open the public hearing. Does anyone wish to speak on this item? Has anyone signed in telephonically or electronically?
No, they have not, Mayor.
Anyone else? Close the public hearing. Anyone else have any questions or comments on behalf of the commission? Mr. Kavanaugh, call the roll on item number 12.
Commissioner Wasserman.
Yes.
Commissioner Brody.
Yes.
Commissioner Raley.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Welch.
Yes.
Mayor Rydell.
Yes. We're going to turn now to commission reports and executive officer reports, city managers report.
Thank you. I just want to give you an update. I've been asked a few questions about the progress of the school zone, the automated ticketing for speeding in the school zone. And we are collecting different vendor information. So we will have that ready when we're ready to go procure it. The Department of Transportation has until December to finalize where speed detection systems can be placed and installation specifications. So we're really kind of waiting on some of those regulations to come down the pike to help guide us with if we need to make any ordinance changes and so forth before we're able to go ahead and implement a program such as this. So in the meantime, staff has been working with or accumulating different vendors and becoming educated on what they can provide so that we will be ready to go to put out for procurement when the time comes.
I just want to ask a question on that, Karen.
Sure.
Does that need, so I guess the question is this, and I kind of turn to my colleagues as well. There's no financial, my understanding of talking to 3 different companies, there's no financial expenditure on it. Right?
We still have to procure the services.
I agree, but arguably we can do an ordinance. I mean, do we need to put it out for procurement?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's a service that we will be receiving and we have to offer those companies fair opportunities to do business with the city.
Thank you. Okay, that's all I have.
And then I just want to say, I misspoke the other night about doing a formal presentation for our new deputy chief, Fred Hofer, and we will be planning to do that, I believe, on the October 26th meeting. So we do, yes, we do congratulate him for that. Thank you.
Is that Gray Star? On the 26th?
I believe so. So we'll start it out with some good news, right? Yep.
Good. Okay.
Thank you.
Is that it, Karen? You got more? Madam City Attorney.
I just wanted to let you all know, in case you saw the expose on the local news last week as it relates to PFAS in the water system, that we are looking into the possibility of joining the multi-district litigation and possibly retaining the Levin Group, which is the same law firm that Broward County recently retained to represent them in the multi-district litigation, which was filed in South Carolina. And essentially, I'm still researching it, but I'm planning to try to bring that before you with your approval, if you give it tonight, on the October 26th commission agenda, just because it's a little too late to make it for the October 12th agenda. That being said, it's my understanding that the deadline is December to file if we want to be part of this. And because our water system, we actually get our water from Broward County, and Broward County is pursuing this, I thought it would be a smart thing for us to consider.
Do you believe that this is something in your position you would like to see the city engaged in?
Yes, we would.
Okay. Kind of, sometimes I know the answers to those questions I ask. Can I turn to the commission? Does anyone have any questions for Terrell regarding this? And would everyone give consensus at this point, pending no questions?
Yes, I would give consensus, and I do appreciate the city manager's response about the additional testing before, I think, sometime in November or sometime after November 24th. I appreciate that as well, along the same thing.
Does everyone give consensus for Terrell to bring this item on? Terrell, you have consensus.
Thank you.
Anything else in your report?
Other than I sent out something today, just letting you know that there was a case filed in the Florida Supreme Court now in the West Flagler matter pertaining to the Seminole Compact. It was filed against the governor, basically stating that they believe that he didn't follow the state constitution when he approved the compact. So stay tuned as it relates to the Seminole Compact. And we're following that in addition to the pending federal lawsuit.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. We're going to go to Commission Communications. I'm going to turn to Commissioner Wasserman.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, congrats to our new deputy chief, Fred Hofer. Very cool. I'm looking forward to that on the 26th. Wishing former Mayor Mickey Belvedere well as she recovers. Thinking of you, Kristen and I send you our best. Shout out to the administration of Coconut Creek High. Over the past 6 weeks, they've had to respond to some threats. They are true professionals there, and being in a school and having to deal with a lockdown or something, it's we don't go to college to get trained on those things. We don't go, we get trained kind of as the year goes on, as we get into our position as assistant principals and principals, but absolutely outstanding job what they're doing there to combat those things and respond like they have been. The Turnpike meeting last week, I thought was great success. It was great to see Winmore there. It was the first one of those I've kind of experienced, and you could feel that Coconut Creek was united, and we were it was good to see everybody there working really hard to do our best to make sure it doesn't happen. Well, before we were talking about cooking, and I came up with an idea earlier, but maybe for the Butterfly Festival, or maybe something like a chili cook-off of some sort. Maybe something along those lines to offer like a residential piece to it. I don't know. Something to talk about down the road, but it sounds kind of fun. It kind of brings in like that, that fair, that county fair kind of feel. And I'd love to see the mayor cook up some chili because I challenge him. Thank you.
Thank you for the input.
Yeah, look at that. It finishes with a dig. Okay.
Drop a mic on you there.
Not a challenge coming from you.
Oh, you'll have a chance to respond.
Commissioner Brody.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Mayor, for giving me the opportunity to speak. So today, as every last Thursday in the month, I go over to FIL, Foundation for Independent Living, and let me tell you that just changes my day when I'm around them. And I'm going to tell you, Detective Clint Corey and Stephen, I can't think of Steve's last name. James, yes. Amazing what they do with that program, and there's such an added thing to our city. What they do, it's like the unsung heroes of helping people. They do just wonderful things, and when that guy walks in, he's like a rock star, man. That place goes nuts. I walked in, they clapped. He walks in, it went crazy. I went, wow, this guy's amazing. So it's a great program. And I just think that, he doesn't get the recognition he really deserves on that. He's a nice guy and he does such good-hearted things that it should be the bell rung for that guy. Also, put the challenge out there. The police department is going down in October 13th in the basketball game against FIL and the police department. I play for the FIL team, and that trophy's staying right where it's at there, Chief. And the last thing is I'm just kind of excited. I'm going on a ride along on Friday and be my first one, which is weird since I have a whole family of law enforcement. I've never done it before. So this is going to be a fun thing. And I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to hang out and witness what our life-saving individuals do out in the field. And I'm very, very appreciative of that. So thank you for everybody for making that happen such short notice. And I promise I'll stay in the car. All right.
Thank you, Commissioner Brody. Commissioner Rayleigh.
Thank you. Salsa night, Friday night, kudos, fun night, great night. Our residents love it. They love just the interaction, be around City Hall. It was a great, fun night. I especially enjoyed it. I want to thank everyone that came out to the Turnpike outreach program. The support of the community was overwhelming. I want to congratulate Winmore residents. They did a great job. I want to thank all the Coconut Creek residents that showed up as well to support the opposition of the expansion. Also today, Winmore hosted a town hall meeting where we touched on subjects that actually affect every resident here, especially insurance hikes, or the cost of living, the turnpike, the water issue, the Mount Trashmore. We had, thank you, city staff that came, and Mayor Josh Rydell, thank you for coming. And we had Chief Gary, we had our police chief Butch Arnell, we had Sheila. I thank you all for being there. We had Christine Hunchowski and Senator Polsky, and everyone spoke. No selfie, no. But we must have had, on Zoom, there were 200 people. And in attendance, I would say there had to be 350 there. Wouldn't you say that? So it was very well received. It was the information that our residents received. They were so grateful to know how and where their dollars are going and being spent. Karen gave a breakdown on the city budget, and our CFO of Winmore gave a breakdown on how their monthly payments are spread out through association operation expenses and council operating expenses. And they were really appreciative. And why I'm saying this is because sometime in the future, I would like to invite the entire city, anyone that's being affected by these increases. We will do another town hall meeting, this time inviting all the residents of Coconut Creek and our neighboring cities. Also, we touched on 4D, the bill that was passed that mandates inspections for 3 stories and above, and plus the structural reserves that had to be met. So there was a lot of information. I think a lot of people left there happy. I do have a couple of, I've been getting some positive feedback from our residents regarding our EMS and our police. I said I was going to read and I had it set up here, but I just want you to know, I will forward it to you, Chief Gary and Chief Farnell, the kudos that we've gotten, and I'll forward, I'm sorry, you're right. I'll forward it to you, Karen, and then you can disseminate. All right. But positive, everything is positive, not one negative comment. So thank you. Yes, thank you.
Well, that was a successful meeting.
It was.
So when you host something, then you broaden the scope of it. Are you planning, hosting it virtually or?
Yes, we also had it, and I'm sorry, I didn't recognize our county commissioner and attorney, Mark Bogan. We did do it, we had it in person. We had the capabilities of having it on Zoom and our internal TV station 99.
Mhm. Okay, I'm
So,
just
yes, it
curious if
was,
you
yeah.
were gonna, okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So are we able to issue a proclamation if it's a month after the fact? And the reason I'm going with this is ATC just celebrated this past month their 50-year anniversary when they officially opened. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
We can do that.
Okay. Can I forward it? Can I forward that request to you or
Please.
is that it? Okay, thank you. Because I asked Nita Rancourt at the SAC meeting and they said they would definitely appreciate it. And speaking of appreciation, I want to publicly thank our city manager for going on the quarterly tour, city tour. And I hope that you gain some insight out of it. I certainly did, looking at it from your perspective too. We went to Diadem, Broward College, the sports facility there, and just with the idea of it as another platform for either a city event, chamber event, or just to promote as part of our city. And then we went to the township and looked at the 9/11 memorial wall and listened to the steps that Linda and her staff took to make all of that happen. The Coral Springs Coconut Creek presentation of the checks, that all the funds that come from the gala and that go to the schools. This was a pivotal year, speaking of ATC, because they and as on the committee have been asking for ATC to be included as one of our legitimate high schools in that regard, because they have award-winning BPA programs. I mean, they've won national awards. And this year, I don't know why, don't care, but they were presented to get one of the equal checks. So the $8,000 was split amongst, and 3 of our schools were included. So this was a very good day. And they were reported as the #1 state technology college in the state and the number 8 safest in the nation. So I hope that they earned their right for that. What was it, $650 check that they got for notoriety. So I don't have anything else. I just hope everyone has a good weekend. And thank you for all of the employees for what you do.
So I think I'm going to have my longest commission comments. Yeah, I'm going to be asking for consensus on, it looks like 4 or 5 things.
Okay.
Okay. So let me start the wish list. I passed something out to all of you before. I hope everyone got it. Everyone got it? Okay. So when we were in Orlando, one of the seminars we went to, and I know you were in there. I think that was everyone. Because you were wearing a tank top, but that's neither here nor there. Greg Ross, the mayor of Cooper City, presented, and he talked about a decorum policy. And he also talked about, said, listen, if you guys don't support me on this too, that's okay. I want to kind of have it out. So Greg said essentially, listen, we didn't have this before, and it's something that is newer, and it's true. It's newer. The history wasn't there on this decorum policy. Now, the decorum policy, if you look at like what was read, it's actually codified in a reso, and it talks about public participation at meetings and things like this. Now, there's 2 portions of this. There's I think if you look at what the city clerk read in the decorum policy, and Mr. Kavanaugh will make the minutes of the Cooper City Commission meeting, March 28th, 2023, 5:30 p.m. part of the record, please. Okay, thank you.
Will do, Mayor.
If you look at the decorum portion of it, it talks about really just, appropriate behavior. And it talks about what happens if you don't have appropriate behavior, right? It talk about no verbal attacks. The resolution that I want to thank the city attorney or city manager who won the war. City attorney won the war. Well, it was it was a splitsies because Bernadette got it first, and then city attorney got the actual reso. So I haven't passed this out yet, but the reso addresses a couple different issues that I want to just talk about. The first is the decorum policy. I think we need it. And Greg told me this. Greg goes, Josh, I couldn't have imagined a million years needing something like that until there was an item that I was having commissioners personally attacked. I was having the meeting just on something so uncharacteristic brought people there. I think it's a no-brainer to me that we should have a decorum policy. Hopefully we never need it, but I think there needs to be one there. That's A. Now, something else that comes into this is kind of this, and I've kind of been thinking about this. This really started with the hotel, the extended stay hotel they were going to build on Lions years ago, right? It was a big community issue. What, 2016? No, I'm talking about the residents in that the first 2 a.m. meeting I'd sat up here for. And something happened in that meeting. And listen, I want to have a conversation about this before I suggest it. I remember there was 3 or 4 community resident people that were active, and they came and they took other people's time. Okay. So we have a policy. It says 3 minutes per people. And I really want to hear my colleagues' thought, and I'll tell you my thought. And it started there. And then you had a resident. I remember the resident. He collected 10 people to give him time. So then we had a resident with a 30-minute presentation because people were giving him time. That started happening again recently with a couple of the projects that we have. And I think we have some other contested projects coming. I don't like it. I'm all for free speech. Somebody could bring 10 of their relatives and they could all defer time. And then all of a sudden one resident's getting 30 minutes. I don't like it. I don't think it should be. You give somebody 3 minutes and that's it. I think the ability of abusing it, the resolution talks about that. And I think if you don't outlay it, and again, this was a situation, a really contested issue in Cooper City. And we've kind of seen a trend of passing time. And I think we saw it at Gray Star project a little bit. And I'm not qualming it. I think a resident, an active resident should be able to come and speak. But I think we're somebody understanding the ordinance or understanding the law says, I'm bringing 10 people to come with me and I get 30 minutes. That's really what it is. I don't support that. So I'm suggesting this. We come up with a policy, a decorum policy, much like that's, you want to say something? Yeah. So I think we should have a decorum policy, much like Cooper City did, as well as in their public participation resolution, they specifically talk about they specifically talk about the minutes. Now, the other thing that this public participation thing talks about that the county does as well, and again, just for discussion, is they limit it. So in Cooper City, they give you 60 minutes. So they'll give you in Cooper City, any item. I don't care if Greg said this, there could be 1,000 people out there. I'm giving public participation in 60 minutes. County does that as well. They limit it. So there's sometimes if you go to a county commission meeting and you didn't either get there or sign in, you may not be able to speak. So that's the other thing. I don't necessarily support that, but I'm up for discussion on it. I want to hear the other side. So Karen, please.
So back in 2019, the commission did adopt a general rules and procedures. And there is a decorum section in there as well, and including addressing the commission in the manner and the time. So maybe
that was done for a much different reason.
But maybe we work from this to address any other. Maybe it just needs updating. So I don't want. I want to just say it's not that we don't have one, but maybe times have changed, and we can work from there.
So I think that was. I don't want to misspeak. I think Sandy remembers doing that too. I think that was more for a different motivation amongst the dais as opposed to the public. But this decorum thing from Cooper City really deals with the public and remedy from the public. And I think that's important. The other thing, first off, I'm just curious, is there consensus to have a decorum policy?
Yes.
I think
with the discussion.
with the discussion and also to, I think we should look at what currently in place. And also this should be incorporated not just for agenda items, but non-agenda items as well. I mean, if we're going to, we should be consistent across the board about any input, whether it be agenda or non-agenda, and in what format, not just a link, but in a format, because I think consistency provides a guideline for everyone to use, whether it's today or the subsequent years. So I would like to, I would like to, you share the document, in my opinion. I don't think we can really hash it out now. I really think that it should be something that we should be able to have, review, and then bring up for next further discussion at another time. Put time on the agenda if you can, under commission comments or whatever.
I'm not, I guess, to be clear for all of you, I'm not trying to say, let's approve exactly what they wrote. I'm
No,
trying to just get consensus to give to Karen a more robust
Right.
decorum policy. And then the other thing is, I'm very curious, all of your thoughts on the 3-minute thing. Yeah, so Jackie, please, we'll go reverse down the line.
All right. I think to eliminate the cumulative time could be very restricting. I think we can limit the amount of cumulative time to maybe 2, so that any one person will have 6 minutes, and that would be the limit. Something like that. To eliminate cumulative time, I think that would be hard, but I think if we can reach some agreement on a limit. What
I
do you
guess
think?
just the 2 thoughts, because I think staff can talk to us independently and
Yeah.
Karen can get direction on all that. Because I think there may be legal issues with that. I don't want to pretend to do that. Do you agree that there's a consensus for a decorum policy?
Yes.
A more robust decorum
Yes.
policy?
Yes.
Okay, and then you're open for discussion on whether or not this giving 3 minutes.
the
Okay,
limited, yeah.
Sandy, I don't know if you chimed in on the 3 minutes. I'm just curious.
I didn't. I just
Do you have any
think
thought on it?
I'd like to further review it and think about it.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of the cumulative, I have to tell you. And I think if we put a limit on it, then that's going to look even more restrictive. But I think we should just have it open for discussion.
Okay, Commissioner Brody.
So I'm a big caveat, cheerleader for the First Amendment. And that's the time where our residents come here and give that time. Sometimes, and I've spoke at the county and the school boards and things like that, and it's 2 minutes and 3 minutes. Sometimes you're not able to get the message across in 3 minutes. Right. And sometimes you're not getting to every point that you need to address at that moment. So I'm not restricted. I don't like the idea of restricting it just to 3 minutes. So I think that's the conversation, is what do we restrict that cap to? That's the discussion needs to be happening in the decorum. Everything else I read on here, I kind of agree with. There's got to be some professionalism when we're sitting up here and not taking bullets, for stuff that's, not city stuff. So I fully agree with that. But definitely we need to have some kind of decorum so that everybody has an expectation when they come into these aggressive meetings that there are a lot of emotion in it, that, yeah, we're going to let you maybe get a little extra time, but it's got to have some kind of professionalism in how we address this, just like they do in a court. So that's my 2 cents. So I do agree with you, but I think the time limits were with the discussion. It really needs to happen.
Well, right now I just want to say this. Right now we have time limits, right? I want to read to you exactly what this is, just from their thing.
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
I think that it goes both ways. I think that there should be something in there about us addressing the public as well. I mean, the decorum applies amicably across the board.
Well, I think the policy, once you all review what we currently have, that was, again, I'm not trying to speak the motivations of predecessors, but I think that was more for the dais, not the public.
I think it should be both.
I agree. So this is what they write. Members of the public shall be given up to 3 minutes at the end of at a commission meeting to comment in response to any items. The catch is this: members of the public shall not be permitted to yield their speaking time to other individuals who want additional speaking time to speak to the commission. That's the policy. That's what they have. So it's not, and I understand it, John, but you get to a point of how much time do you want to give somebody? I mean, because it's totally fair. I'm agreeing with you on the First Amendment. So Jeff, I guess 2 issues: decorum and thoughts on yielding time.
Decorum 100%. I think that it's this is well written, but I'm sure we put our own spin on things.
Well, what I'll make sure gets circulated, Mr. Kavanaugh, if you can make sure at the end of the meeting, this gets disseminated as well. This was handed to me late. This is actually the resolution that is much more encompassing than the one-page document I handed all of you. Oh, you got copies for everybody. Look at this. I wish I would have passed them up before. Just take one and pass it. This is the actual reso. And if you denote to my colleagues, if you go to page 3 and 4, that's what address it. I'm not looking for language tonight. This is a discussion if there's consensus to move it forward. So is that a yes, everybody? Okay. So Madam Brooks, I think there's consensus to move forward, a more robust decorum, and then up for grabs, whether we talk about yielding time or not. Okay.
I didn't address the yielding time.
Please.
I only mentioned decorum.
I think everyone else did, but I didn't give you a chance. I apologize.
It's okay. In terms of I understand your perspective. I understand JB. I think limiting it to how many people you could. I remember that one night she yielded to ace 4 people. And it just wound up getting, pretty intense. So I would be okay with the limiting of how many yieldings could occur for one individual. So I think 2 is good, but I know we'll talk about it more, but I'm okay with looking at that.
Okay. So I think there's been some direction. I'm fine with that. I'm not trying to stifle anybody, but what I'm saying is I look at, Greg told me an example of they routinely had a group that was yielding and they had an hour. And it's,
Can I just say something really quickly? We may have to look at this a little differently in the context of quasi judicial. So just keep that in mind, but we'll evaluate it.
I think everyone defers to your legal expertise in anything. Okay. Second issue kind of piggybacks on that, and it's consensus about this. Obviously, this week we were through, these reviews that we do, right, of our executive staff. Upon reviewing their contract, I thought about something. We need to do these reviews when their month of their contract. So I think they need to be separated. And I say it because traditionally, I don't think we've ever separated it since I've been up here. They've always been done together. Do you remember before me, were they, Sandy?
I thought that at one point they were.
Not when I was here.
Weren't.
Not since Karen's had the job. So Carol?
I don't recall. I know all I can recall is a couple times doing it at the same time as Karen's predecessor, Mary Blasey. I'm not sure if there were times where mine was done separately from hers prior to me. I have no idea.
Okay. The only reason I say it is because these contracts, I thought about this after. I thought about this today, actually. The contracts have dates in them. There's signed dates, there's effective dates, there's notification dates that all apply. I think the review, just if there's consensus on this, the review for Terrell should be a month before her anniversary date, and the review for Karen should be the month before her anniversary date.
We can't make an addendum in a contract to make it the same date?
That would have to be on future contracts to make sure it gets signed, whether it's in October or July. We can't go back and change that, but I think until there's renewal contracts, I think the annual review should be before. It gets squirrely with money and dates and notifications, that's all. Yeah, all of it. But it's more important because both our executive staff members have trigger events in their contract. There's renewal timeframes. There's all this stuff in there that goes by the date of the contract. So I think you have to do it like that. That's all.
No, I agree. After going through my first one of that, usually people don't get evaluated with somebody else getting evaluated at the same time. And in that format, I'm okay with splitting them up into 2 separate times. Yes, please.
Can I ask Karen and Terrell what their opinion is on that too? What do you guys think? Do you guys want to?
Awkward.
It's not awkward. It's their contract.
Yeah. I'm not trying to.
No, I'm just curious.
I had suggested to the city attorney that she might not want to have her evaluation at the same time I was having mine. And she didn't take me up on that offer.
I'm simply going to say, I don't necessarily relish the idea of any kind of meeting simply focused on me. There's a reason why I'm more behind the scenes providing legal advice, but I obviously will do whatever is your desire.
I'm not trying to rehash anything. I'm just trying to say there's dates and dates matter for both contracts that are not tracked the same.
I think it's a good idea.
Separate them? Sandy?
I would separate it.
Well, I don't think it's not comfortable either way. whether they're together or whether they're not. So, I'm just going to go with the consensus.
Okay, so it looks like there's consensus to separate them per contract date. All right, I guess my last consensus item, and then I'll go to the update. I apologize for having so much tonight. I talked to the courthouse guy. So there's a guy at the courthouse and he was in charge of shifting everything over to virtual during COVID. And I don't want to belabor the point in terms of our technology here, because I've been told 1,000 times that our system is our system and we can't do certain things and we can't do this and we can't do that. I think we need to hire a consultant. And I think we need to bring somebody outside that is specialized in this. I understand we have a great IT department, but just somebody that can come in. I was told for not a lot of money, you can bring somebody in to set these devices up in a very high functioning, high technology way, regardless of what our back system is, that some of these parameters are worked on. I'd like to get consensus to have somebody outside come in and look at the technology so we could be functioning better. Because from me talking to the IT tech at the courthouse, it shouldn't be what we've kind of made it. That's all. I just think we have an ability of bringing somebody in to say, hey, do A, B, C, D, and you'll be high function. Sandy?
Don't we have to put that out to bid?
Not if it's less than a certain amount. If there's a consultant in town that'll do it for a couple $1,000s to come in and look at the system, that Karen has the discretion to do that. I'm just trying to give her consensus to say, go get an IT consultant to come in and say how we could be better technological for our residents that watch and things of that nature. I'm not trying to spend a lot of money. I'm trying to say, give it to our city manager to bring in a consultant. Commissioner Wasserman.
So yeah, I respect what the city manager and the IT department have done for this. I know we're looking into redoing the commission chambers at one point. I think this would be a Band-Aid solution. And I don't see the need to spend the taxpayer money or wherever money that would come from, wherever stream it would come from, for that at this time. I can't give consensus on that.
Well, unfortunately, I'm going to go the other route and say we need to have somebody come in and look at this and evaluate it. What's it going to hurt us to make sure that, because we can still use that, even if we don't act on it, we still use that based on how we upgrade it in the future.
Well, it would be old technology by then. I mean,
But you're just swapping out equipment. Yeah, it might not be the same equipment, but it's going to be the same ideology that you're going to be performing.
Personally, I just think we have other things that are more relevant right now. That, I mean, I get that the wants are there, and I get that, but I just think that it's not priority for us running business of the board right at this time, because we got the huge plan down the road. And
Yeah, listen, Sandy, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think the last priority of this commission is redoing this chamber. I think that we have priorities in the police department. I think we have priorities, and all I'm suggesting, candidly, I'm piggybacking off your comments previously of trying to do something a little different I'm being honest, being a little better on a technology front.
mine was more focused on the commission chambers. I mean, the commission offices, that I thought those should be the last to be considered, not necessarily the
Okay,
chambers. but-
so I mean, if there's not consensus for it, there's not, and Jackie, you wanna?
No.
Okay,
No, I can't give consensus either at
All right.
this time. I think right now we have enough technology that our residents can stay connected and know what's going on.
okay.
So
Last
I'm
thing I
good.
just wanted an update on is the Hillsborough Marketplace. So I was called, a couple tenants called me in the Hillsborough Marketplace just to tell my colleagues, worried that the post office was leaving. It was like a weird, yeah. I had never heard that before, John, and I know you were there for a while. so-
Listen, that place is like a third world country in itself. That post office is horrible.
Well, okay.
And it would not-
John,
it
I'm
would
talking
not-
about the quality of the post office.
I'm telling you, it almost looks like they're leaving. That's where that's coming from.
I understand that. I'm not talking about the quality of the post office. I'm talking about that tenants in the plaza, that's an anchor tenant, voiced concern to me in the past couple of days. A lot of them, unrelated ones. So it was interesting to me. It also segued into another question saying, what's going on with the development? Because a lot of leases were re-signed. The place is full right now with the understanding of this development. So I'd really like a staff level update on what's going on there and what can this commission do, if anything, to move development along, because there's a lot of business owners that have sunk money and time into building businesses with, maybe don't want to say false promises, but promises of a major redevelopment. You took the chair, so I'm assuming you want to say something. So, Madam Brooks, do you want to?
Scott, would you please address to the best that you can at a moment's notice?
Of course. So there have been permits for the marketplace in the building division and the engineering division since last year. There is a permit for Cali Coffee. There is a permit for the other out parcel building that was proposed to be built. There is a temporary fence permit, construction fence permit that actually was issued, but has not been picked up by the applicant because they're not ready to start construction. There is a site amenities permit, which addresses some of the parking lot renovations that is in and under review. One of the biggest issues that has held up development has been some of the permits that they've needed from Broward County. And I believe they ran into some issues because Walgreens resurfaced as an obstacle, not so much as an objectionary opponent, but as an obstacle that I believe that Walgreens was sold from the time they went through their approvals and they got some signatures. And some of the documents, some of the agreements, the water agreements, the sewer agreements needed re-execution from the new owners from Walgreens. My understanding that has all happened. It's also my understanding after talking to engineering as recent as today that their water and wastewater agreement has been executed by the property owner. And they intend on having that sent back to the city next week. They also have I also understand that they will be paying their impact fees, their water and sewer impact fees associated with that. Once that is cleared, it actually removes a lot of holds on the permits. In fact, the only hold on the Cali Coffee permit, to my understanding, is the fact that the water wastewater agreement had not been executed. So it's not that we're going to see Cali Coffee coming out of the ground tomorrow, because the first thing that will need to happen is with the engineering permit being issued, there will be some infrastructure work, some water and sewer work that has to go through the parking lot to accommodate the out parcel for Cali Coffee and the other out parcel. So I believe that we will, prior to the end of the year, we should see some construction activity out there. That's my update.
Okay, my final request for consensus.
Can I?
Yeah.
Before you go, Congressman Moskowitz, I would think would be a valuable source to find out anything about related to the post office location there or
Teresa.
closure.
Yeah, I'm not, this was 11 power, so I wanted
Yeah.
to bring it to your attention while we're vetting it. So my final request for consensus for the commission is the commission okay with me working with Karen to see if we can bring the playmakers, property owners from the shopping center together, maybe for a meeting here that we can, offer assistance in whatever we are. You okay? My colleagues would be kind of spearheading that meeting.
Sure.
Okay. So the intent is, and I really want to work, obviously, let's bring everyone into that conference room like we've done before and have a robust, hey, let's get on the same page and help how we can help type of thing. Because I think there's a lot of frustrated people with this Hillsborough Marketplace project. Is that fair, Karen?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. The good news. Oh, last thing, and then I'm done. I know it's a belabored evening. I apologize, Jackie. It's your faces really say it all to me. I guess I would like y'all to consider the plastics that is being promoted. I talked to Susan Steinhauser about it at Cat Uden. I think it's a good thing. The ordinance has been circulated a couple months ago. I'm just curious for you all. I'm going to bring it up at my next meeting. This is an ordinance essentially asking restaurants, depending on how we phrase it, to stop putting in plastic utilities, plastic utensils and takeout bags and things like that, trying to be more globally conscious. And the real reason for it is a lot of people get takeout food, no one asks for utensils and they're putting it in there. So it's generating waste. So it's a subtle way that we can try to be better and greener. So I'd like to do that, but I'm not asking for consensus to do it. I'm just saying, hey, take a look at it. I'm going to bring it up at the next meeting.
All right.
I'll make sure it gets recirculated through Karen. It's something that I would like to move forward with if any of you cared to possibly talk about it.
Are people able to still request the plastic utensil? Okay, sure.
Yeah. Any thought on that, Sandy?
No, not at this time.
Okay, I'll make sure it gets recirculated. Is there a motion?
I signed the pass up plastic edge.
I know you did, and I think it's an aggressive ordinance, but it could be toned down.
May I,
Jackie?
please, before you adjourn? When you say ordinance, that to suggest that they ask first that they can use it, that if it's needed or not to automatically put it in the bag, and how do you word an ordinance if it's optional?
Well, this isn't optional, and the ordinance that has been passed around is a little more aggressive than a resolution. I will make sure everything gets circulated to y'all, so you can read it. It's that simple. The model is not something I would support. I would support a reduced, I'm not trying to fine people, right? That's not what I'm trying to do, but the ordinance that has been approved in other cities around Florida is more that model. But I think that there's an in-between that we can do that kind of meets the need of,
We could start a campaign,
it's the reduce
a
it.
basic,
I mean,
a PR campaign.
well, we can't,
For reducing.
recycling is terrible.
Right.
We got reducing and reusing are the two other options, and I think we can really focus as a city on reducing.
Well, we've got the Pass Up Plastic pledge. I
Yep.
mean, if we drum that home, I mean, we've already got a campaign. Why reinvent another campaign? We already have one. I mean, I'm just saying.
I'll circulate it and everyone could, it's for discussion. Is there a motion?
Motion to, sorry,
We're adjourned.
thank you.
Sorry to be